What is up, AFC North football fans, and welcome into another edition of the AFC North Roundtable. Preseason week 1 is in the books. All 4 teams within the division had their first NFL action this past weekend. And on tonight's episode, we'll be recapping what we saw from the Browns, Steelers, Bengals, and Ravens right here on the AFC North Roundtable. Without further ado, let's bring in the fellas. Chef Zay, Mark, Sam, and Zim. We got some football under our belt, fellas. Got to see the boys in action this past weekend. Can't wait to dive into it as we move forward towards another preseason weekend coming up this weekend. We get next weekend out of the way after this one, and then before you know it, we're going to be at the start of the regular season. But we can't get there until we talk about what's going down in the preseason. And Zay, I want to start with you because I think that your situation right now is the most interesting. And everybody was dying to see what we were going to see from Shadur Sanders in his first opportunity in the Cleveland Browns uniform. And what we saw was perhaps the most impressive performance from a rookie quarterback over the weekend. Actually, it was the most impressive. Jackson Dart looked good. But no question about it, Shadur Sanders seemed to steal the show over the weekend here. We do know he suffered an injury during practice today that is potentially going to have him sidelined this upcoming weekend for their preseason game. So I'll have you touch on that too. But before you get to that, tell me about what you saw from Cleveland in their 30-10 win over Carolina. And more in particular, tell me about your thoughts and overall impressions from Shadur Sanders.
Well, you said it was the best performance of the week. I thought we crowned Skylar Thompson that.
That's right.
Vet,
yeah, you know what I mean? That's right. Better QBR.
I mean, a 3-year vet, he should look good, damn it. I mean, hell. It was perfect timing here in Cleveland. It was, as I'm watching the game and I'm just experiencing what we're experiencing and knowing that it's preseason, it's easy to get carried away. But, we've had enough quarterbacks flow through here since 2022 or since 2018 to get a feel of what certain things feel like. And when we had Jacoby Brissett, it was a good time. It was like, I'm here for a short time, not a long time. When Joe Flacco was here, it was a proud moment when we were winning games the way that we were winning games. With Baker Mayfield, it was different. You felt it, like that energy, just the optimism that came with it. That felt exactly like what we were watching with Shadur Sanders yesterday. It just felt different. I haven't felt that feeling since Baker Mayfield. So obviously it's the Panthers. We're not going to go over the top with it like a lot of people have, myself included. I mean, I went over the top too. It was Shadur Sanders week 1 preseason, but I think we saw a lot of good things from some other people too that probably won't make the team. Sadly, Luke Floria made that big catch for that on the rollout that Shadur Sanders had, and he pulled his hamstring. He got cut. They brought him back. Then he got waived again. Caden Davis is making a really, really big push to get that last receiver spot, but he's also battling that out with Gage LaVarden, who I'm actually grown very fond of. We saw a couple undrafted guys in Travion Williams and Amani Marshall. Amani Marshall is a guy that I'm very interested in, had a really, really good block on the Shadur touchdown, had some really good runs downhill, and knowing that this whole Judkins thing is playing a part, it's going to be interesting to see if they decide to keep one of those guys or how they're going to work this depth chart, even though we still have Pierre Strong, Jerome Ford, and Dylan Sampson. I imagine they probably look to want to keep one. I think going into this week, or I guess I should address the defense a little bit. Secondary, we got some problems. The depth in the secondary is something that I'm a little nervous with, but I think the thing that's going to keep me from not going over the top with it is our defensive line. I think we're super deep with our defensive line. We've got a lot of guys. We got a lot of speed, and we already saw Mason Graham get a little bit of some double teams this past week. So you can't double Miles and Mason Graham. You got to pick one or two. So I'm super excited for our defensive line. But the secondary is definitely going to have some question marks. Dustin Hopkins, it might be time to get rid of that bum. This guy can't even make a PAT. It seems like as soon as he got that $23 million, he forgot how to kick. But moving forward, Shadur Sanders, like you said, it was supposed to be Dylan versus Shadur this week. We're probably not going to get that. We'll get a lot of Dylan. Probably won't get Shadur. But Stefanski said on the press conference earlier that they wanted to start. It was the plan to start one of them each time. So Dylan's up. Let's see what he can do. And hopefully the oblique injury isn't too serious.
Shadur Sanders, 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. What about his performance, Zay, impressed you the most? I know you said this is the first time you felt what you felt since Baker Mayfield, and we're hoping that this could be the guy or one of these guys ends up being the guy for Cleveland. But Shadur Sanders, like I said, stole the show this past weekend. What in particular stood out that you enjoyed the most?
I think 2 things stuck out the most, and one of them was his accuracy, obviously. The windows, the throws that he were making were NFL windows and NFL throws, and all through preseason. I know it's funny because when I think of hearing things all throughout preseason, I think it's him because of the receipts that he keeps. But all throughout preseason, they told us that he couldn't make certain throws. He couldn't get mobile out the pocket. He couldn't do certain things that he was doing in practice and at Colorado. And sure enough, he came into here and proved those guys wrong. I think the biggest thing that I was impressed with was his leadership. He had a real leader vibe to him, the poisonous in him. Like, you just looked at him, you knew when he was about to come out of the game because that instantly switched off. You could see that the aura was like it simmered down. I used the example when I was on a live stream. It was almost like you were watching an anime and you could see the aura radiating off of Shadur Sanders throughout the entire time that he was playing. So I'm super excited for his leadership. Like I said, it felt like this is a guy that we can build our franchise with. I'm wondering if we'll get that same feel with Dylan Gabriel.
I want to swing it around the table because obviously the Shadur Sanders conversation is certainly a popular one. Zim, you're laughing your head off. I got to go to you first. Talk to me. Thoughts on Shadur this past weekend?
The aura coming off of his skin, the aura off his helmet in a preseason one game is ridiculous.
Same aura you be trying to get on, and it's like, if he was on any other team, he'd be the best receiver in the league. You just didn't use the word aura.
Get out of here, bro. Like, relax, bro. Like,
be nervous. I'd be nervous too.
No, I'm not. He actually wasn't even one of the most efficient quarterbacks over the whole entire
Thompson was. We already got that out the way.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. We go back and forth sometimes. It's fun, but this is pump the brakes, sir. Shadur, though, I am going to agree with you with one thing. I think that if you've ever played sports or anything like that, I was fortunate enough. I wasn't really that good, but I played through high school. But there are players that, Shadur reminds me of in a locker room, not on social media, not on whatever, I think will be perfect and people will love him. Like, I think he has the confidence. He's funny, intelligent, all these different things. So I do think that part probably does carry over. But in terms of him, like, playing football, like, he looks like an average quarterback to me. Those throws, the throws that you're, like, bursting out of your seams with, I watched, like, a lot of the top quarterbacks make probably 4 or 5 times minimum a game. Like, it's not that big of a deal going up against bum-ass preseason guys like that. Like I'm just here to tell you, like, if you want to play with the big dogs and shit, if you want to play with the big dogs, I got a Lamar, I got a Josh Allen fan right here. I got a Lamar fan. Like, bro, like, nah, preseason.
You act like we're talking about a 5th round guy in preseason. What else do you want to like? You want me to crown him?
He shouldn't have got drafted in the 5th round. I do think that he should have been drafted. And that's a whole nother conversation. I think, though, he's about a 2nd to 3rd round, quarterback. He's probably one of the better. Y'all got so many quarterbacks I can't really keep up with. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks probably on your roster. But aside from that, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not scared. I if he were to play against my team, I wouldn't feel any type of way. I think he's a good kid, though. Good kid.
Watching Zay's demeanor just immediately change, the aura, if you will, go from radiating to completely fading once Zim hopped on, to just tear down what Zay just spent 5 minutes building up. I hate to say it, Zay, because I'm so excited for you.
That type of guy. We all know how Zim gets. Zim is in regular season mid form right now, so
he is
mid. Meanwhile, we over here just trying to get through the preseason. I respect it, but.
I'm excited for football, fellas. I'm glad to be on the show. I'm excited that everybody's watching the show tonight too. Please make sure y'all retweet this out. Let other people know that this is the best AFC North show in the planet. So please do that. I am very excited to watch football.
No doubt about it. Sam, talk to me about what you saw from Shadur. I'm not sure you're as critical as Zim, but do you have some criticism, or were you impressed from what you saw from Shadur over the weekend?
Yeah, Zim tripping. I was impressed. I thought that he looked really good. I think that the Browns are going to brown. Unfortunately, Zay, I think the Browns are going to find a way to mess this up. I think they just fell into a talent. I'm not, again, he's not going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. He's not the next Jaden Daniels or anything like that, but he's a quarterback you could build off of and coach up and get better. He has the intangibles that you're looking for from a quarterback, something that they didn't have since Baker Mayfield. Zay mentioned his leadership, and there is a little bit of aura I saw. It seemed like the rest of the stadium just rallied around Shadur Sanders, and you don't see that from the Browns. I mean, I was very happy to see it happen. I just don't know if the Browns are going to, the Browns are going to find a way to mess this up. He's injured right now. They're looking for a reason not to play him. It just feels like maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm an outsider, so I don't know. But looking in, it seems like they're settling on Joe Flacco. They want Dylan Gabriel to work, okay, because the front office will look stupid if they drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round and then their 5th round guy ended up being the guy. So, and they've already been vocal that they don't like Sanders in the first place. So all of that lends me to believe that they're going to try their best to get the other guys a chance to make it happen. But the fans will make their voices heard. Again, I don't expect Shadur Sanders to win the division this year, obviously, but I think that he's a quarterback that could be talked about. It's going to sell tickets, and I'm happy the guy got it done because there's a lot of guys that were voting against him. So I'm up on the Sanders talk, but not going to do much for the division this year. We'll see you next year.
Mark, how about you? Any thoughts on Shadur Sanders and how this thing might play out here after what you saw over the weekend?
So, I don't think it's a bad thing to get behind a quarterback that did well in the preseason. I think that Zim might be wild a little bit, and the aura's it's fine, but at the same time, I've been watching the Browns for 20 years, and they've never won the division since 19 whenever. And this time of the season is really the time where they get to another new quarterback. They start going, oh my goodness, he's awesome, he's great. And the next minute it doesn't pan out, and it's Johnny Manziel doing these ones, right? We've all been through it. However, you can see where Chef Zay's coming from. The guy played well in the season. Not as great as my great Skylar Thompson, which you already brought up, which was going to be my main talking point for the last 2 days I was thinking of, because I retweeted that, right? Skylar Thompson went really well in QBR and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the media's been going after Sanders. We've been talking about it. The whole freaking draft, everyone around the world's like, oh, where's going to go? Where's going to go? He goes somewhere, he plays well, and then now people are saying they just start canning him for that. So either you do good or you do bad, and either way you're getting shit talked, really. So at this point in the season, I think it's good for him to get the reps and play good football. Hopefully he can get past that injury. But I guess for me it is, what's the expectation of where Sanders is he going to be? Are they going to put him at 3 or 4? Going to start Joe Flacco? He's going to sit a year? Are they going to trade him? Like, if I were a Browns fan or something like that, I'd want to figure out, because the hype around him now did really well, what's the next step? That's what I'm pretty much trying to think of. But I don't think we should put him down for playing good football in preseason. Yeah, it's preseason, but it's still playing football. And he did verse. He came out the gun and straight and 2 TDs and whatever it may be. But knowing the Browns' history, from my perspective, what are they going to do? And this happens every year. And Chef Zay was saying we're going 4-12, and we're building our quarterback list too with the shirts. But my shirt's a lot shorter than Zay's right now. I'm just intrigued to see what they do with another quarterback controversy in 2025, 20 years later.
I just got one thing to say. Shadur Sanders is in a lose-lose situation no matter what would have happened. Shadur Sanders would have got drafted in the second round, or in the first round pick, second pick overall. He would have came out. He would have went whatever he went, threw 2 touchdowns, and they would have said, well, he's a second pick overall. He's supposed to do that. And then he can go in the 5th round and do and then he could go 4th on the depth chart. He could get 0 reps throughout the week. He can get minimal reps throughout the entire training camp and have all of these things on his plate, and then capitalize on everything that's been put in front of him. Only the things that he can control. And then they'll say, well, we got to take a step back. This guy's only doing this against 4th, 5th, 6th rounders that aren't even going to make this. It's like, what is it? He can only control what he can control. He didn't say, hey, put your 4th stringers out there, put your 3rd stringers out there and let me work. He can't control that. So either way, Shadur Sanders is going to lose. The only thing that we can wait to see is just time.
Well, as a Nike rep or a member of the Nike marketing team said, Zay, it was only a matter of time. So we're going to have to wait and see. But from what we've seen thus far, first action for Shadur Sanders looked pretty good. Looking forward to seeing more out of him coming up here within the month. Hopefully he gets healthy soon, gets back out there, and then the regular season comes around. Who knows when we'll see him, but I'm sure at some point we will. All right, Mark, I'll swing it over to you. We've already had a couple of Skylar Thompson mentioned, so I got to go to you. We got to talk about maybe the best quarterback performance of the weekend. Shadur might have stole the show from the rookie perspective. Skylar Thompson, though, airing it out. Controversy in Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers, could he potentially be riding the pine for Skylar Thompson, who went 20-28, 233 yards, 3 touchdowns in the Steelers' preseason win over the Jacksonville Jaguars? I know you said you've been planning all week here, Mark, to talk about him, so the floor is yours. Let it fly on Skylar Thompson.
Well, Skylar Thompson, he did very well. Had 3 TDs, had a really high QBR. But I first of all want to start with our second in charge, which is Mason Rudolph. He came out the gates, and I know we didn't play any Aaron Rodgers or anything like that, but I more want to focus on Mason Rudolph and how the offense looked. From the very first snap, it wasn't a run pass like it used to be the Matt Canada offense. Arthur Smith offense does look a little bit better into year 2. They had the guys out there on offensive line was 4 out of 5 guys missing Isaac C. and Marlowe. Then they had the play action pass over the middle to Roman Wilson, and they haven't been doing like the passing over the middle for a long time. Russell Wilson always played on the outside or went deep or went short. It never happened. So Mason Rudolph went down the field in 7 for 7. Had looked like an absolute professional. Now, many people will say that he won't be a QB1, but he is a great QB number 2 if something does happen to Rodgers. Rodgers got an injury the other day too. Someone stepped on his foot and cut him, but I don't think it's too bad. But he's always that like security blanket there if it does happen. Now, Rudolph went down the field, 7 for 7, and got a touchdown to Big Darnell. Darnell Washington is like 6'8", 300 something pounds, 150 kilos, whatever that is, 300 something pounds, a big unit. And then I thought the offense looked a lot better, or at least like it's got flashes of what it could be in 2025 with Aaron Rodgers in a better O-line and getting Roman Wilson, competing this year too. He was out injured. But going back to Skylar Thompson, he did quite well. He did what you're meant to do. Like he went down the field and scored 3 TDs. He found the receivers on new receivers like Rock Taylor, these other blokes, Johnson, Williams, and these guys are trying to make the team. But it was to be honest too, it was a pretty fun game. The game was very fun to watch. Like it was 31-26 versus the Jags. It was very entertaining. But maybe it was fun because we're actually moving the ball down the field and moving it around. But I'm not even sure if we're going to see Aaron Rodgers in this offense. But at the same time, it just felt like a little bit different, and it felt better using the tight ends, using the receivers. So much better than it was with Fields or Russell Wilson over the years. But yeah, 100%. Like Skylar Thompson, he did pretty well, But that's what, and I'm not going to say now in terms of the QB rotation. Will Howard's out; he's QB3. Skylar Thompson probably going practice squad. He's not going to go QB3 or QB2. But I guess Steelers fans right now, it was great to watch. Great offense, or good offense, not great, good offense. We're watching the O-line. We're also watching we're just waiting for Aaron Rodgers to come back to play.
Well, we've been talking about prolific quarterback play week 1 of the preseason. Shadur Sanders. We have Skylar Thompson. We will get to Joe Burrow in a second here. Where you would not find prolific quarterback play would be from the Baltimore Ravens this past weekend, who threw for a whopping, let me just make sure I have my number correct here. Yes, that's right. 49 pass yards on what I think was 16 attempts to the Colts near 50. Yet the Ravens were still able to beat the Indianapolis Colts. Incredible. That is not a good look for Indianapolis, losing to a team, I don't care when it is, who throws the ball 16 times. It reminds me when my Penn State Nittany Lions played against John Harbaugh, the Michigan Wolverines, who did not throw one pass in the second half and beat Penn State. That's kind of what we got from the Ravens this past weekend. We did see a little bit of backup quarterback action from newly added Cooper Rush. Devin Leary, 3 of 12. Sam, I can't imagine you're going to sit here and wax poetically about what you saw from the quarterback play, but outside of that, what did you like from Baltimore this past weekend against the Colts?
Yeah, the backup quarterback stunk. I talked about it on my show. They were terrible. I mean, Devin Leary, I've always been against the drafting in the first place, but that game didn't exude any confidence in me. I'm very interested in potentially bringing in another QB because you mentioned it. If the Ravens are without Lamar Jackson for a game or two, and we need somebody to keep pace with the Bills or the Chiefs or whoever, then do we count on Cooper Rush to be that guy? And none of these guys really are dual threat quarterback, and the offense is really predicated on having dual threat QBs making things happen. So I'm interested to see what the Ravens do. They're probably going to try to get the most out of them for the next 2 games and see what happens, but that's something to look out for. As far as the positives, Keaton Mitchell, a guy who 2 years ago was one of the star rookie running backs in the league, came back from ACL surgery last season, didn't really have the burst this year. He looked stronger. It looks like he had about 5 pounds of muscle. The burst is there. The speed is there. He looked amazing. So it's going to be very difficult for opposing defenses to worry about Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell. So that's going to be something positive. A kick returner, a punt returner, LaJohntay Wester out of Colorado, out there with Shadur Sanders, was amazing. 2 returns, 1 for a touchdown, 87-yard punt return. So he's a big part of what the Ravens are going to do, both on special teams and offense. And other than that, it was just more of the same. We saw a lot of our pass rushers step up. David Ajabo, who's a bubble player, looked really good. Adisa Isaac, another bubble player, looked good. Mike Green, our second-round draft pick, looked amazing. I think his pass rush win rate last game was 30%, which is, if he keeps in that pace, would be number 1 in the league. So we're really good on defense. We're looking good on offense. We just have to worry about keeping Lamar Jackson upright. So the big story is Daniel Falele, who is our right guard, who played pretty poorly for a starting right guard against the 2s and 3s of Indianapolis. He didn't look that great, but besides that, we look like a Super Bowl contender. So let's see what happens. But I'm very happy with what happened in the first game of the season.
You mentioned Keaton Mitchell there, who had a great day, like you referred to. Looking at the numbers here, 9 for 68, 7.5 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Obviously, with Derrick Henry, you know that you have your run game locked up, and then when you add Lamar Jackson to the fold, it doesn't get much better. But what do you think the role here is going to be for Keaton Mitchell? He's also had a really good training camp as well. So do you see him being incorporated to a degree in which will be impactful for this Ravens rush offense throughout the year here?
Yes, I think he will be. You expect 5 or 6 touches a game. Justice Hill does a really good job in passing situations, spelling out for Derrick Henry. A lot of Ravens fans don't like that, especially in the red zone. But right now it is what it is. But I think Mitchell could be that burst speed guy to really be a big play guy, somebody to come in and provide a spark. So he's going to be a part of the offense for sure. And that's going to be a big thing. I think the Ravens could have won the championship in 2023 if Keaton Mitchell was playing running back. He was injured, obviously, but I think he was a big part of that offense towards the end of the season, but his injury kind of derailed things.
Well, Zim, during Joe Burrow's career here, they've only won 1 game within the first 2 weeks of each season. Joe Burrow has been the starter. They're trying to correct that this year. Joe Burrow out there with Jamar Chase to kick things off against the Philadelphia Eagles in preseason week 1, and they wasted no time getting to work. Joe Burrow, 9 of 10, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. 77 of those 123 yards came from Jamar Chase, who was making it look like he was out in the backyard against some of these guys in that preseason game. Let's just start there. Do you find value in these guys being out there week 1 of the preseason, knowing that they've had their struggles in the first month or so of the season each and every year?
In previous years, I've thought I don't want to take the risk because you just don't, you don't want to get Joe Burrow hurt. And I don't think anybody wants any of these players hurt. So in previous years, I think so. But I think Joe has been trying to do this for the last couple of years to play more. So they allowed him to play more. I was really surprised, like when we were just talking about the quarterback stuff with Shadur and stuff. Warren Sharp, analytics, guy released this after the game, and I guess this kind of goes hand in hand with Zay's point. Joe Burrow, the expectations I think are a lot higher, so I don't think anybody's paying attention to this. Even though you're right, Skylar Thompson had a really great game, but Joe Burrow was the number 1 EPA per play quarterback, the most efficient quarterback in the whole National Football League week 1 preseason. But if I would have came on the show, or I would have gone anywhere online and been like, yeah, bro, did you see us cooking up in the preseason? Everybody would look at me like, you idiot, like it's the preseason. So it is a gift and a curse. Like if you do really good, whatever. But to kind of, play off of what you're saying, Z-Bot, like for a Bengals fan, yeah, you're hoping that they cook up, look good, because in the years past, we don't let them play. So you want them to cook. He looks good. This is the best I've ever seen Joe Burrow look in a camp. This is the best I've seen Jamar Chase ever look in the camp, which is super scary. I watched every single thing that, those guys have done since they got drafted to the Bengals. So, like, to me, I think the Andre Yoshivas's of the world and all these other guys, whatever, they look scary. It's the best. It looks like the best offense on paper. that I've seen. We haven't seen him play week 1, week 2, to your point, but in all of these, all the OTAs, all the trainings, everything like that, I thought what we saw from the Bengals come out early in that game offensively looked really, really good. Can I go to the bad?
We're going to do the bad next. I'd like you to give me a few more good because obviously it doesn't get much better than the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow connection. What else did you like beyond seeing those guys out there early and looking good?
I thought that part looked really good. I thought Shamar Stewart, if somebody put this tweet out on Bengals Twitter and they were like, is Shamar Stewart already a top 10 player on the Bengals? And this is kind of a knock on the Bengals roster, I think. But there's a good argument when you look at some of the other players that never really materialized, or guys like Dax Hill that have never like really stepped into what they're supposed to do. Bro, when I tell you, I'm really critical on my favorite team. Every single practice we've ever had, he's disrupted, tackled for a loss, flash. He's out of everybody that we've ever drafted in the last 5 to 6 years outside of Jamar Chase, I've never seen anybody make plays, do something more than Shamar Stewart. And then when he came out there to the preseason, same thing. He didn't have a 30% pass rush win rate, but he did get about, I think it was a 12%, which is still pretty good, really decent, but he was very disruptive. And for a Bengals fan, we're thinking like, all right, bet if we get that on one side, and then you got Trey Hendrickson on the other side. Trey Hendrickson has never had anything remotely close to that. They talk about Sam Hubbard with this team a lot, or outside opinion, Bengals fans never have really been a big fan of Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard is a run specialist that gets a lot of cleanup sacks from Trey Hendrickson. We've never seen anybody that disruptive on the other side, outside of Larry Ogunjobi in 2021 in the interior. But so that was really encouraging. The young run linebacker that we had, Knight, Jamar Chase, has always been crediting him to be like, bro, he's everywhere. Today I was watching him at camp too. Same thing. He almost killed somebody today, and he had to hold up on the play. So him coming in as that linebacker 2 role, and they got a lot of other linebackers that we really, really like too. I thought that was really encouraging. The offensive line on the Burrow drives, like you said, he pretty much went perfect. Pockets were beautiful. So that was really, really encouraging too. And outside of that, wasn't too much because there's probably a lot more bad.
Well, we're going to get to that bad in a second. Before we do, got to give a shout out to our friends over at RotoWire, the proud sponsor of the AFC North Roundtable. I showed you last week the fantasy draft tool they have on here, which is awesome. I've been using it, getting ready for my fantasy draft coming up here in a couple of weeks. But they have so much more than just the fantasy draft tools. I was looking through here. They have all of the lines for every single NFL game for every single week of the season. You can go and look right now at the lines in week 10, week 11, anything you're looking for, they're going to have it. What I love about this feature in particular, we'll just go to the week 1 lines here. They have all of the main sports books throughout the country on the website. So you are able to, in real time, compare live odds. So for instance, the Thursday night opener to kick the season off, the Cowboys have the best line at a +7 spread on DraftKings. But if you're looking to get in on the Eagles, FanDuel has them at -6.5. So what you're able to do here is look and find the best odds in real time, all in one place. And this is just one of the many tools that they have over on RotoWire, from fantasy to betting and everything in between. They got you covered. Also for live up-to-the-minute news, it doesn't get better. They have a ticker on their main page that sends out constant updates for every single team. So get in on it. It's going to be a great tool to have throughout the season, and you can get a premium subscription right now via the link in the description below. Use the promo code RTS to get 15% off a premium subscription with RotoWire. And then, of course, as I also mentioned last week and cannot wait to utilize throughout the season, we are offering a call-in feature through Patreon throughout the 2025 season here on the AFC North Roundtable. I was hosting the NFC East Roundtable yesterday, and we had our first ever call-in. And fellas, the guy who called in, mic drop, he called in and he said, I'd like to ask the panel if they think, I'd like to know from the panel what quarterbacks would have won the Super Bowl last year with the Eagles roster outside of Jalen Hurts. And that sparked a 20-minute long debate going all the way around the table. These guys going tooth and nail, fighting like dogs over that conversation. That was sparked. I know, it was incredible. And it was sparked by a caller. That can be you right here on the AFC North Roundtable. Call in, drop a topic. You know how heated it's going to get. It's already gotten a little heated through the first 2 weeks. So come and be a part of the action. Become a Patreon member. Link in the description below. You click it, you sign up, you're ready to go. That'll give you the ability to call in each and every week on the show. All right, so we got some positives. We saw some good from Shadur Sanders, Skylar Thompson. Sam found a lot that he liked with his Baltimore Ravens this past weekend. And, of course, Zim got to see Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow in action, looking as prolific as ever. But, of course, with the preseason, there comes a lot of negatives. It's about the most bottom barrel football you can watch, and as a result, you are going to come away from watching it with some criticism. So, Zay, I'll start with you here. What about your Cleveland Browns over the weekend stood out in a negative way? What did you not like from the Browns in preseason week 1?
I already kind of mentioned it, so I won't take you guys' time. Number one, well, obvious one is Dustin Hopkins, man. This guy, I don't know what is wrong with him. I don't know what mental barrier he's trying to overcome, but like, dude can't hit a simple point after. And we've had too many games come down to like swinging because of these kicks. And then you turn on the TV and you see the Jacksonville kicker boot one for 70 yards. And it's like, can we get a break, please? I think the other thing, like I mentioned earlier, was the secondary. It hurts so bad having Martin Emerson go down. And we're just looking for some guys that could potentially step up. Eyes are going to be on Cam Mitchell heavy. Tony Brown made a couple good plays. Had a couple pass deflections, I believe, this past week. He's a fringe guy, I would say. So I think the big question is who in that cornerback room is going to step up, and then also who's that other safety? McMillan, an undrafted guy out of Pitt, he had a nice little play, and it always seems like we're looking for some type of undrafted guy to make that roster or make that play. So hopefully one of these guys can have a spark. But other than that, I can't really think of too many other bads, just for the simple fact of the things that's in the media.
By the way, I don't know how it took me this long to notice it. I didn't realize that your buddy behind you is now rocking the Shadur Sanders jersey. Is that new, or have you had it for a little while?
When did I get? I think I got that for Father's Day.
So have you worn it yet? Why do you have it on the dummy? Because I've seen some footage of you beating the hell out of that thing. So why is he donning the Shadur jersey right now? You're just getting him warmed up?
It just, gotta support the homie, gotta support the fifth rounder that everybody hating on. You know what I'm saying? I had to wear it for the game because the horse's mouth said that it was his Super Bowl. So, I'm gonna go ahead and treat it as such. That's Super Bowl 1 for the year.
I went to a family event or like one of my cousins had like a cookout. 3 people had on Shadur Sanders jerseys.
Come on.
Oh, it's already started?
Now, mind you, I live in Washington, D.C., so I've never seen a Browns jersey in person unless it's at Cleveland Stadium or in the Bengals. This is my first time ever seeing it. So the Shadur thing is like really, it's a big topic, bro.
Wait, how the hell, Zim, do you show up to a family event being as diehard a Bengals fan as you are, hanging out with 3 Shadur Sanders jerseys? I mean, do you say something? Do you give them crap, or like what happens there?
It was the conversation that was had, and I mean, of course, like I don't even think they're Browns fans though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, like you like the Browns? They're like, nah. I mean, I'm like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think to me, it's Caitlin Clark 2.0. It's a hot topic item, and it's a divide on what side are you on, and it's just going to go on the whole year. And that's why even on the last episode, I was like, why don't they just play this dude so we don't got to hear about what he would do, and they're like, let's just get it over with. But that's
where I disagree, though. Like,
linger over.
You can't. There's only 2 quarterbacks on this roster right now that you want to start the first 6 weeks, and that's Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett. You would be doing yourself a disservice if you threw out Dylan Gabriel or Shadur Sanders, no matter how much you like them, against the Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Vikings, Steelers. That's just you don't want to see them succeed at that point if you throw them out there. So that, as much as I want Shadur to get out there, that would be the dumbest thing, because probably by week 8 he would be out of the league. at least with the Browns.
Just now that we're on the topic, I'm just curious, what would Dylan Gabriel have to do in order to quiet? I mean, obviously Zim just said it. He walks into a family event. 3 guys got a Shadur Sanders jersey. I go to a Buffalo event. I don't see 3 Josh Allen jerseys. I mean, that's crazy that we're seeing that already from a guy who's never played a snap. That's nuts. What would Dylan Gabriel have to do in order for that hype to die down? Obviously, everyone's in love and infatuated with Shadur Sanders, but Dylan Gabriel's the 3rd round pick here. What would he have to do? What would you have to see this upcoming weekend to be like, oh, wait, pump the brakes. It might be time for us to say only a matter of time for Dylan Gabriel.
There's nothing that he can do, but he's already the poster child here. He's the guy that Kevin Stefanski and these boys want. Like, if they had to pick, they want Dylan Gabriel to be the guy. And that's why this whole thing is so weird. And you mentioned it's a divide. There are 3 sides to this whole Shadur thing. There are Browns fans, there are fans who don't like Shadur, and then there are strictly just Shadur fans. Now, which side do you fall on? That's on you. But the I'm just Shadur fans, there are a mob. I'm talking about a real mob that are banging on the table for the Browns to cut Shadur so he can go somewhere else and thrive. So, like, there's really Dylan Gabriel just has to exist, and he's gonna get his opportunity no matter what. But honestly, like, one of them gotta go. That's what I think it really boils down to. And unfortunately, I don't think one of them are gonna end up going. I think this is gonna be a long, drawn out process. And Kevin Stefanski is going to have to Kevin Stefanski because we're probably going to see 2 or 3 quarterbacks this year.
I feel for Kevin Stefanski. That is a situation I would not want to be in. Having 2 rookies duking it out, especially with the fan base all in on one guy, the other guy that you like, you drafted higher. Crazy situation. At the end of the day, though, whoever's playing better, I'm sure Browns fans are going to be fine having that guy out on the field. Mark, I know it's going to be hard for you to find negatives from the Steelers this past weekend with how great Skylar Thompson looked, but what did you not like from watching Pittsburgh in preseason week 1?
Probably the main thing to look at is probably I'd say the running game wasn't as impressive to kick off things in the first week of the preseason. So the Steelers got 66 yards, and it really only came from half yards of that with 31-32 with one bloke called Lou Nichols, and he was really good, but he was running the 4th quarter. So the big negative was just not moving the ball in the run game, but on the other side of that, though, we played really good on offense, throwing the ball. But yeah, the overall stats and rushing and stuff like that for our team, who's meant to be run and defense and run and then play action pass and all that kind of stuff, we got 66 yards, 2.6 average on 25 carries, and we had 31 of one player. So I think the offensive line did quite well in keeping Mason Rudolph upright and keeping Skylar Thompson upright with those guys. A few high snaps here and there, but the running game wasn't that great. That's a negative. They could always improve on that. There were a few players, or one player in particular, James Pierre, which he's on the cusp of being cornerback 4 or 5 teams guy. He didn't play that good in the cornerback room. Some missed tackles from guys that down the depth chart in 4 or 5 and 6. But to be honest, I can't see too many negatives besides maybe just having that impact of the running game in week 1. We just didn't see it the way that Steelers fans wanted to with Caleb Johnson. Now, I'm not saying some crazy... Look, we have a lot of Steelers fans around the world, man, and a lot of us hate each other because the Steelers fans are fucking stupid sometimes. They're already going after Caleb 90%. Johnson for a bad... not 90%, I'd say about the 10% are crazy. 90% are great. But they're already going after Caleb Johnson getting a poor game, saying, he's a bust or whatever. It's week 1 of the preseason, So, but he had didn't have the best game straight away, here and there. But I'd say just to improve the run game, that was a negative.
You mentioned the run game, and it was clearly your biggest negative from the game. I'm interested to hear what the word has been out of camp. With Najee Harris no longer being on the team, what's been the vibe around camp based on what the run game is going to potentially look like for Pittsburgh going into this season?
Yeah, so they're going to go with, I think, Jalen Warren. He's the undrafted bloke now, 2 or 3 years into his contract. Go with him first. You can laugh all you want.
No, I love the way you call these guys blokes. Like, it's just...
Oh, okay, all right. Go. I thought you were going to start going to Warren because Warren's he's a legend.
I like Warren. It's just and this bloke thing is killing me.
Well, I can't help it. It's like part of my language. Anyways, Jalen Warren, I won't say it again. He's a good bloke, right? He is a good bloke. You know, Jalen Warren, when he plays the game, right, he actually fucking wears a helmet the whole time. Because when he was a kid, he's just always put his helmet, never takes it off. The minute he goes into a game, helmet on, and he's ready to go. So the running back situation for the Steelers is they're going to have three guys. They're going to have Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson, and then Kenny G. He didn't play. And I think in the Steelers offense, they're going to go more tight ends, and I think they're going to maybe have a fourth running back, but I don't know just yet, depending on how many receivers they take. But it's going to be like running back by committee, with Jalen Warren being number one. But the big test is, can he take the workload that Najee did? Najee was good for us, not great, but Najee took on a lot of heat. Like any AFC North matchup, he was hitting the hole hard and getting 4 or 5 yards. Still fans are going, oh, he's not doing that great. Dude, he's taking on all the blockers and taking all the heat. Then Warren comes in and changes pace. So I think it's going to be Warren, Johnson, Kenny G, and maybe a fourth guy, which could be potentially Lou Nichols or Trey Sermon, because they're the guys on the fringe. But they might not need to go too far back to get 4.
Sam, who were the blokes on the Ravens that did not impress? Who did you not like? I know that game was a bit of an ugly one, even though that they won it. It probably wasn't the most fun thing to watch. But when you were watching it, what did you not like from Baltimore?
Well, the obvious one probably would be the backup quarterbacks. Hopefully they don't play in the regular season, so I'm not going to harp too much on it, but they really made it difficult to examine the receivers for us. And Tez Walker, a guy, you guys may not know him, but he looks like he's going to be a very prominent player this year. He looks like he's a stud, tall, lengthy, speed guy. So would love to get more from him, but without the play of the backup QBs, we might never get a good look at him. Obviously, the right guard position is a concern. A lot of Ravens fans are talking about that. But I think the one interesting one is the inside linebacker job. Right now, Roquan Smith has the job, obviously, but he needs a guy opposite him. Trenton Simpson's a guy, Teddy Buchanan. Those two are probably the prominent guys that Ravens fans were looking at. They didn't really show much of anything. Teddy Buchanan looked a lot smaller out there. He looked like he wasn't doing too much. So it's very interesting to see where the Ravens go in inside linebacker. Obviously, the Ravens are going to play a lot more nickel and dime with all the corners and safeties they have, but they can't play nickel and dime every play, every snap. So they need to find an inside linebacker to play opposite Roquan. Last year, we didn't have that, and we struggled in certain situations. So it'll be interesting to see what the Ravens do in that regard. But yeah, not a lot of holes for this team. I mean, honestly, they're the best team in the league, in my opinion. So they need a backup inside linebacker, a backup QB, and they need a more out of their right guard, which, and honesty, fifth worst, player on your team is still pretty good when all the other guys on your offensive line are studs. So the Ravens are in a good position right now, but if I'm nitpicking, those are the 3 positions where I want to look at.
The Ravens are the Peyton Mannings of the freaking league. Regular season dogs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You get one every decade or so.
Gotta say, if you want to back multis in that, back the Ravens, because they are like conditioned to win everything. Yeah. Like they are just always like gunning to win, like, and go. Like, I put my Ravens in my multi what do you guys call it again?
Parlay.
We got our first multi mention. Let's go.
Yeah, I put him in every time because John Harbaugh, like, he looks like a nutter. Like, he looks like he wants to win every freaking thing. So that's what I think. One good thing about your team, why your team's always competitive, no matter who you got out there, is they go crazy in the preseason. They got 16 yards passing and still won. So crazy.
Load up on the multis, folks. All you blokes out there, better get your multis in. Get the Ravens in on those multis. All right, Zim, you told us you had a long list of negatives from your Bengals this past week, and you said they far outweighed the positives. Zay's got his notebook out, ready to write down each one of them. Walk us through them, Zim.
Can I say I did forget one thing positive, though?
Sure.
I have to put Chris Jenkins, a guy that we drafted, interior defense alignment. I thought he looked amazing last week. I will say that, though. The cut up on him looked really, really good. We were without BJ Hill and some of the other guys up front, but there's some guys like him that really did look really good. All right. But the back up front, our left guard he got a perfect blocking grade or whatever, and everybody, it's a rookie. I don't believe in anointing any rookies or whatever unless they're Jamar Chase. But backup, right? We don't really know who's the backup in a lot of those spots for a team that's trying to protect Joe Burrow. And we play some guys that look absolutely awful. Like, you know what I mean? You're going up against third and fourth stringers for the Eagles, and I get, that you can't buy too much stock in all of that. But regardless, I thought that they looked awful. The backups to after Joe Burrow and the guys go out, then all those backups, I feel like they all got exposed. The right guard spot, we're still in a camp battle as we speak. We don't really know. We went and signed a guy, Lucas Patrick, that's making damn near like the league minimum at the position. So it's not like they have to play him, but the Bengals have refused to bring in another guy. And then so we got guys like Cody Ford and all these other guards, and we got another rookie, Jalen Rivers, that I think he can play guard, but they got him at tackle. So it's like the depth behind it in the starting right guard, that looks really messy. As good as I think the offense is going to be, that part right there is a little funny. Left guard looked really good, but the right guard one and the depth behind it I thought was bad. I thought Chase Brown did look pretty good in the limited role that I guess he had. Sam was talking about his running back, Keaton Mitchell. So our running back, Taj Brooks, I thought that one thing that I like about him is him finding, his patience and different things like that in his pass pro and all that. And I thought he didn't look the part. Now, mind you, the offensive line playing with the 2s and the 3s, it could kind of, change a little bit for you. So I didn't like his analyzing like what holes to go through and the patience. Is his first game, but to me, I thought that that's something that he does really good. I didn't think he did that really good in preseason 1. Also, a guy that I'm really high on, Jermaine Burton. They only gave him 1 target, but the quarterback play, just like Sam was just saying, Desmond Ridder, he looked bad. Jake Browning looked awful, and so the quarterback play behind it, and it's moved forward to now. Desmond Ridder took all the quarterback 2 reps today, at practice because Browning looked so bad, I think. Now, going over to the defensive side of the ball, they were without Dax Hill and Cam Taylor-Britt. Those are penciled in starters. So we're looking on the outside to see like DJ Turner's going up against Josh Newton and all these other guys. And there are guys, like I said, there are guys that have high draft picks, high premium picks. I thought the secondary looked awful. They made Tanner McKee or whatever bro's name is, they made him look like Joe Montana. The secondary was getting ate up. Geno Stone did play like a couple plays, but he got a little dinged up, so he got taken out. So safety-wise, you didn't even really get a chance to see like what your safeties would look like. Jordan Battle was decent, but he got mossed on something. I believe that was in the game, or am I getting that mixed up with something else? But from the secondary, I didn't see what I wanted to see. And then a guy that I think, remember I was talking about best 10 players on the Bengals. I would put Logan Wilson in that conversation. I thought Logan Wilson looked slow. He's coming off of the injury from last year. And that linebacker position is a lot of contact. You get a lot of scopes. You get all these different things. I think the talk within our fan base is like, man, is bro like, and he been kind of getting cooked a little bit at camp too. And I keep on talking about Demetrius Knight. He's been looking really, really good. But it's a lot of catches that you see in these practice clips, and they're on Logan Wilson. Now, they held him out a couple different times, just reps, veteran stuff. So that's something to kind of look at and pay attention to. But outside of that, I mean, none of the other edge guys like Flash. Defense gave up 400 yards. It just, you know what I mean? Like, again, it's just preseason, but I believe that all of that stuff has carryover effect to it. It's kind of like your aura, I guess, right? So if you're used to giving up 400 yards in it, you know what I mean? Like it kind of starts to be kind of conditioned in your head. Like, yeah, we kind of always do that. I don't know. Like, so I don't buy too much into it. And I don't really like the preseason to begin with anyway, but I just thought that they looked just as bad as they did last year on defense, outside of the guys that I said that flash. And then the question marks of why didn't they bring in Brandon Scherr? Why didn't they bring in Reisner and all these other guys like that? Just to battle with the other right guard. They got 3 guys that are veteran or guys that you could buy stock in, I guess, but I didn't, and I thought it showed.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The defense, of course, is what everybody's looking to this year for the Bengals, because if they do improve, they're right back to being towards the top of the AFC, or at least competing for it. I know you mentioned it's just the preseason, and obviously you take that with a grain of salt, but are Bengals fans concerned about what they saw over the weekend, fearing that they might have a repeat of last year on that side of the ball?
I think so. I can't speak for everybody else. For me, I think that the offense is so potent that it can kind of generate like I had this mantra a couple of years ago, your offense is your defense. I do think that it puts them in favorable positions where the defense shouldn't have that much pressure on them. And I do think a lot of the roles will be solidified. But I think everybody is under it. We're realistic about, I know there's talent out there, but there's not a lot of proven talent. So most Bengals fans will tell you that, yeah, bro, let's just get to like the middle of the pack. Because in 2021, 2022, they never had a defense ranked higher than 17. So like the concept is like, well, if we were, like 2021, the Bengals weren't a good offense. They just went to the Super Bowl making big splash plays before halftime and stuff like that. They were very inefficient. 2022, they come back, they are efficient. And the defense looks a little bit better, but it was a lot better because Bengals got out on people. They were on a 10-game win streak, and they got out on people and would get leads, and then they would force teams to pass. So most people like myself, I think, are thinking, I don't need them to be incredible, but to think that we're going to see some exponential growth from what we just saw at the end of last season or whatever, and then carry over to now. I don't think that that's happening. I think that there's growing pains with it. And those close games that the Bengals had where they scored 30 points or whatever, they just got to go win those games. And hopefully by the time you get to like week 8 or so, you're like, okay, we feel we got a little bit more cohesion and we good. It might pop off sooner than that. But to me, I think that that's what most Bengals fans are expecting. I don't think people are thinking anything crazier. I do think Trey Hendrickson on the field with Shamar Stewart is something. If Trey Hendrickson was able to lead the National Football League in sacks with nothing on the other side, Sam Hubbard was nothing on the other side. Barely played, was forced to play on an old staff that he shouldn't have been playing, stole $20 million from the Bengals, nothing on the other side. If Shamar Stewart doesn't even get sacks, that alone should make Trey Hendrickson and change the dynamics of teams on third down.
Well, I tell you one thing, Shamir Stewart is on a hell of a good ride to get these sacks because I just seen a tweet.
Me too.
Why is he trying to kill Joe Burrow?
Why are you murdering Joe?
What's your man doing, man? Tell him calm down. Before the center said, like, that's your hopes and dreams right there, boy.
He tripped. I want to ask Mark this, though. Speaking of hitting the quarterback or something, I don't know if Steelers fans are downplaying this. I get it. You say that it's a cut on his calf, but the picture on the Aaron Rodgers calf, if you could Google that, it is a big pack of ice for a 41-year-old man around his calf. And there's no media coverage on it at all.
Yeah, just a paper cut. It's all right. You'll be right.
Okay. It looks crazy. You know me. I know about
calf. No, I don't. Honestly, I was being sarcastic, but I don't think it's that bad. I think the reporting is just that I think one of the blokes, stepped on his foot or his shin.
Yeah, with the right shin and calf.
And it cut him.
If it's just a cut or some more laceration, I get it. But the picture that they show, he looks old as hell, and he's got a big ass pack of ice on the back of his calf.
Because of his stuff last year or whatever, they're all going to blow it up in the media. I think we would know, and all the reporters would know and probably talk about it if it was something really serious. But it is just a cut, I think. He'll be ready to go week 1.
Mark, cool as a cucumber as usual. Just real quick, Zim, because you brought it up. Trey Hendrickson, what's the vibe right now? James Cook today, he was holding in for Buffalo. They get the deal done there. We haven't heard much from Terry McLaurin and what's going to happen there. Micah Parsons, still his situation. And obviously Trey Hendrickson's has been going on for far longer than those two guys. So, you just mentioned how much of a difference it would be if he was out there, especially after what you saw this past weekend. So what's the vibe?
The vibe is that it gets done. I think it doesn't get done the way that he probably wants it to get done. And that's the Bengals' fault. They waited too long, right? And so now all these guys like TJ Watt getting 3-year guarantees. I think the compromise would be to give him guarantees in year 2. I don't think the Bengals have a problem with paying him 31, 30, whatever he's talking about. Like, they don't care about that. But the Bengals got burned by a lot of players like Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, all these guys that we did pay top level money that were 30 years old, and the organization does not believe in second and third year guarantees. So what they do to supplement that, generally, like you saw with like T. Higgins and they did with Orlando Brown, is give them a major signing bonus and cash you out first. He's saying that he wants guarantees into year 2 and year 3. I'm sure. I think the compromise would be to meet in the middle in year 2. He get the money that he wants, but you got to think the Bengals got a Chase Brown. If he pops off, he's now going to want the James Cook money, right? They got players like Andre Yoshivas as a wide receiver 3. If he gets 700 plus yards, you're going to have every team saying, we want him to be our wide receiver too. You got all these different guys. And on top of that, you drafted 2 first-round edges if one of them pop off and have a good season, look like how Sam Matabuke just cashed out, had a good season. You got to cash that guy out. And the Bengals don't want to be stuck saying, well, I got guarantees for a 31, 32-year-old edge guy, and I got to pay my young guy too. And I've already paid Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and all those guys too. So that's the weird dilemma. He has been at practice working with everybody, hands-on, helping them out, locker room, doing everything the right way. It's believed that if he chills out, the Bengals probably give him what he wants. But it's probably not to the extent that TJ Watt got year 3 guarantees, and that's the dilemma, I guess. But I don't think anybody feels as though he's not playing, and I don't believe there's any opportunity. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to let him go. So it'll be that situation all over again.
So I always get on Zim. Mark, it's your turn. What's up with Cam Hayward? Because it's not looking too good.
We got time, fellas. The show's almost over. We got 5. We're getting out of here.
He said show's almost over.
Show's over, mate. Can't talk about it.
It seemed like y'all having money problems over there across that yellow bridge.
There's no gold bridge. There's no money problems over here, mate. It's pretty much like well, not from the owner's standpoint.
That's not what George Pickens said.
George Pickens is saying a lot of stuff. He
says you guys are the cheapest organization in football.
That's crazy.
Your defense ain't gonna be defense ain't gonna be what it is if that boy Cam Hayward ain't out there. Y'all better figure it out.
He'll be there. He'll be there 100%. So the big thing is he came out and he wants to try and restructure his deal, right? The 2-year deal that he has, because you're not getting guaranteed money. Now, a lot of the media and the Steeler Nation fans are going absolutely after Cameron Hayward, like going after him as in like personal attacks. I don't agree with that. I'm watching from the outside observing, like, if they're going, because he was all-pro last year, he was one of the best defenders on the team last year. Yes, he signed the contract the year before, right? But if he's going to restructure and then the Steelers give him a bonus or they restructure his deal so he gets more guaranteed money this year, I'm okay with it. You try and you keep one of your best players happy. But the fan base out there is absolutely going, here's another one for you, hammer and tongs at this bloke. They're going nuts. They're going crazy. They're calling him out. They're calling out his family, saying he sucks, he's terrible, this, and this. I don't know how you go out after a 15-year player who played for the Steelers, that does everything for them. He's a legend in our Steelers black and gold. He's been playing the game for 15, 16 years. And now Steelers fans are worried about fucking Art Rooney's money, when then Steelers fans last year wanted to fire Art Rooney. So what is it? Do they want to fire Art Rooney, or are they worried about his money? So this, to me, is just a big story. Yeah, maybe Cameron Hayward chose the wrong timing right before the season, coming out with all this stuff and saying, oh, I want to get it. And if, there could be a chance he may not play games. But I don't think that happens. I think that both parties come together. They restructure his deal. These things happen in life all the time. If you're doing really well on a project or you're at work or whatever it may be, and you ask your boss for a raise and there's reason to give you a raise, it does happen. However, there could be something else in the future where can any player do this? If they've signed a contract and they have a really good year, the next year, every year is it a restructure? I kind of see the point of Steeler Nation, that they're frustrated and they're angry about this stuff with Cameron Hayward. At the same time, I don't get how they're just going after him. And then for what he's like one of the most hated Steelers right now.
Which is crazy.
Crazy. Like everyone's going after him on the internet and the verses. But at the same time, they asked for his autograph.
Didn't he just get paid like 11 months ago? It wasn't even like a whole year
Correct.
ago.
It was last year he signed the contract, and he even said that in the interview. I did sign the contract, but he's looking to get a restructured contract for. I guess that he wants to be valued at his position for what he did last year, right? So that's pretty much the argument right there. I'm gonna let it play out and see what happens. I do think the Steelers will restructure something and figure something out for both parties, but a lot of the fan base is going after him. And the same fan base would probably walk past him and ask him for a fucking autograph. So It's quite crazy to me.
Like Browns fans, y'all on your way. Y'all on your way.
It's like, I can't believe it, right? Cameron, you guys know him. He's one of the best players to play in recent form and whatever for the Steelers. He's one of our guys. There's so many things off the field. There's all this kind of stuff. Next minute, comes out with a comment and says he wants to restructure content, and the fans act like it's their fucking money. It's like, it's not even my money. I've got no, and they try and compare themselves from like NFL players to your job. Dude, this is entertainment for me. Like I don't. My job's like 50,000 a year or something, or 60,000 a year. I don't care about how much they make and whatever. It's not my problem. My idea is just entertainment. I watch it. I zone out. I get to watch football. Have a good time. I'm not worried about that contract stuff and what they go through. He's already made $140 million. So good on him. He played good football the last like 15 years. So I knew you guys. I was so close to getting out of that one. Hey.
What about Boswell?
Oh, they'll sign Boswell, but his contract is very similar. It's 2026. It's out, but they'll sign Boswell for sure. There's something. There has to be something there.
Yeah,
they're not going to let Boswell walk.
They don't. They let you guys off the hook. They don't talk about you guys' problems on the media. And I've been getting on everybody online about it. I say we need to make sure that we butcher you blokes online all day.
Yeah, I see your tweets, but I don't want to react because I'm busy.
React, Mark. Stuff. We need you to react.
Get in there.
I got kangaroos to feed and shit. You know, I got stuff at the back of the backpack.
Yeah.
I got stuff.
So do you see kangaroos? I heard they have yeast infections in their pouches.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
shit. What they live in their couches? What?
The pouches.
No, they have yeast infections in their pouches in the front.
Oh, yeah, probably do. No. Like,
probably.
I'm near the beach. Like, I'm like 5 minutes from the beach. I don't see anything like that.
Okay. No.
Well,
around.
Mark, you're cool as a cucumber as always. You say Boswell will be there. You say Rodgers will be there. You say Hayward will be there. We'll be here same time next week on the AFC North Roundtable. But for now, that's going to do it for this evening. Recapping preseason week 1, which is in the books, talking about all 4 teams and what we saw over the weekend. On your way out the door, like button if you could, subscribe button if you could. And then, of course, next Wednesday, we'll be back recapping week 2 of the preseason, and we hope to see you there. But for now, Zay, Mark, Sam, and Zim, I'm your host, Zbot. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning in to the AFC North Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.